It's fast, simple, and easy, which I love. Hi everyone, I'm Claire Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm showing you another recipe for a fresh pasta. When I think spring produce, I think pasta, and today I'm gonna show you a ricotta dough to make homemade cavatelli. It's really fun, and to me the best use of spring produce is to just cook it into like a delicious fresh pasta. So I'm gonna show you how to make it. I have never really invested a whole lot of time and effort into fresh pasta because my husband is really good at making fresh pasta, but I kind of want to make it my thing because the dough is so fun to work with, and like I'm a dough person, just like I'm a dessert person. So it makes sense that this is like a new area for me, a new foray. And I'm really excited about it because pasta is truly like my favorite food in the whole world. Like if I'm just like, I don't want to eat anything right now, but like my appetite's weird or whatever, it's like, just make me some pasta. I just want to eat pasta. So I'm very interested in learning new kinds. I did an episode previously, check this one out, where I make homemade ravioli. So that's like an egg pasta dough. This one is going to be a ricotta dough to make ricotta cavatelli. And I am going to use a cavatelli maker, but you could do it by hand. Now there is another type of cavatelli that's like a semolina dough, but I love the flavor that you get from the ricotta dough. So I have 12 ounces of strained whole milk ricotta cheese. I let it drain in a sieve actually for like a good 48 hours. 2 cups all-purpose flour, 2 large eggs, kosher salt for the dough. I have extra salt, of course, for the pasta water and cooking. This is my dough swap. Then for putting together the pasta, I have some butter and olive oil, some garlic, a leek, some herbs, basil and chives, and then some asparagus and some lemon. I think I'll pull out a little extra ricotta and do like a dollop on top of the pasta because I don't really like incorporating ricotta into the pasta sauce because it gives it like a grainy look, but like a little dollop of fresh, cold ricotta on top of a hot buttery pasta is so delicious. So we'll do that. I'm not adding cream to this. Often you'll see like a Pasta Primavera, this is my version of it, is like a creamy sauce. I'm not adding cream, but I am adding a good amount of Parmesan cheese. I have it finely grated because the idea is that emulsifies with the pasta water and the fat and will give you a kind of creamy-ish sauce. The most specific piece of special equipment is a cavatelli maker. And then I have behind me a pot of water for cooking the cavatelli, a skillet for building the pasta, and a bowl and a whisk. I'm going to do the dough by hand, which is very, very easy and doable. Cutting board knife, microplane. Before I get into the recipe, I want to thank our friends at Mill for sponsoring this episode. So Mill makes this bin that I've had in my kitchen for a while. It is so incredible. It has changed the way we think about food waste in this house. Everything from daily coffee grounds to chicken bones to all of your vegetable scraps can go into the bin. And what it does is it grinds them up and dehydrates them and turns them into nutrient-rich food grounds. We use them to feed our chickens. We mix it in with their feed. We sprinkle it into the garden and mix it into the soil, which it enriches. So I love that it creates this sort of closed loop of sustainability in our house. It's controlled via app, but we just have it programmed to start running every night at midnight, so it goes while we sleep. It is silent and odorless, so you'll never even have to think about it. You don't even know that it's running, and all of a sudden you have these amazing food grounds that you can use for other purposes in your home. What I love about the app is it also tells you how much food waste you have diverted from landfill, so it's very satisfying. I love the kick pedal because often I'm holding all the food scraps with my hands. Sometimes they're wet. These are the dehydrated food grounds, ready to get mixed into the soil in my garden or mixed in with my chicken feed. But first, I'm gonna add my eggs. And that's how easy it is. We use our bin every single day in our kitchen, but it's also great for restaurants, other workplaces, anywhere where you're generating food waste. And we're gonna use it today because it's springtime. I have some spring veg, so all those scraps are gonna go into the bin. And now that things are really getting going, we're generating more food scraps than ever. So I highly recommend you check it out. If you go to the link below, you can get a discount off your bin. So I hope you check it out. Thanks to Mill for sponsoring the episode. And now back to the recipe. So I'm starting with, I have 12 ounces of whole milk ricotta cheese right here. So this is strained. It's pretty dry and firm. You want to just take out all that water because what we're really doing is replacing the water with eggs. And that's going to bind everything together and add flavor. So I'm going to start by mixing the ricotta in a bowl with my eggs. I have 2 large eggs and some salt. That's a half teaspoon of kosher salt. The ricotta is already salted, so that's some seasoning there. My eggs are room temp. These will go in our bin. I want to whisk this together. You could just basically mix everything all together in one bowl, but I think that making sure the eggs and the ricotta are smooth together means that you have to actually do less kneading a little bit down the road. So I just want to whisk this until it's smooth. So now we're gonna make the dough. I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Often you'll see people using like a Italian flour, like a 00 for pasta, but you can use all-purpose. And I'm gonna make a well in the center. You could just do this in a bowl, but I actually think it's easier to bring it together on the work surface. In the bowl, you're like constricted by the walls. So I'm gonna get my egg and ricotta mixture into the center. I'm also using 2 cups of flour by weight. It's better to have to add a little bit of flour than to take away. So you can always like pull out a couple tablespoons if you feel like your ricotta is really dry or your eggs are smaller, that kind of thing. So now I'm just gonna start kind of working the flour into my ricotta mixture. This is an easy dough to make because it's not like you're starting with liquid eggs that have the potential, if you have like a wall, part of your wall collapse and it runs all over your counter, this stays in one place. And also, unlike a kind of egg pasta, this is not the kind of dough that we're gonna work really, really hard, because we actually don't want to develop a lot of gluten. The ricotta makes the cavatelli really tender, so this is not the kind of thing where like we're gonna knead it endlessly on the bench. It comes together quickly, and you really only need to knead until all the flour is hydrated and it's like somewhat uniform and smooth. Everything is really well mixed now. I'm just gonna bring it together with my hands. I have this kind of, these like big sort of wet crumbs. I can bring everything together into a dough. It's a pretty delicate dough. This is not a good dough for like a strand pasta. It's soft and slightly tacky, but not sticky. So that's what you want. So I don't think I really need to add flour to this. If you feel like it's sticking to the surface, add a little bit of flour. I just really want it to be smooth and evenly mixed. So this is my dough. Now this needs to rest and chill, and that's gonna help it kind of firm up. It's gonna help it relax a little bit so I can roll it out and then I can pass it through my cavatelli maker. I would let this rest in the fridge for at least an hour, ideally a couple hours, and up to 24. So here's my dough from last night. So I'm gonna start dividing this up. I'm gonna roll this into thin ropes. It rolls out really, really easily, and it's super easy to handle. It's that sort of bit of fat and protein from the ricotta and from the eggs that makes the dough simultaneously soft but also easy to handle and not sticky. So I'm going for a rope about a 1/2 inch thick, and if it's getting really long, like more than 16 inches or so, I would cut it in half, because it's just going to be a little bit too long to work with. If you were making it by hand, it's not so important, but for this machine, it has to be no more than a 1/2 inch thick. So I'm going to set this aside and then roll out the rest of my dough pieces. Whenever you're rolling, if you want something of even thickness, start in the center and use the kind of like fleshy part of your palms and then apply pressure outward, and that helps you to not get something like very tapered on the ends. I grabbed a second sheet tray with some parchment. This is my landing pad for the cavatelli.
You missed.
Oh no, the dough is a little on the soft side. I think I honestly just need to add a little more flour. See how it's sticking? So I'm gonna add a little bit of flour to my dough and re-roll the ropes just to firm it up a little bit and prevent sticking. But then we're gonna get cranking, literally. Let's try again. I'm gonna flour each rope a little bit before it goes in. So I'm just gonna spread them out as they come out of the machine. It's almost like a canoe shape where it's been stretched over itself along this kind of ridged surface. And I'm just gonna keep going, letting them spread out. What happens next is the cavatelli needs a little time to dry out so that they don't stick. Just kind of making sure that they can move around. So while these finish drying, I'm going to start to put together my pasta. It's not really a sauce, but sort of my pasta assemblage, we'll say. I have some asparagus here. I'm gonna snap off the tough ends. There's just like a natural breaking point with asparagus. Anything on like the stalk above that point is the tender part. And the other part, you can peel them and cook them into like asparagus soup or something, but it's a lot of work. So those are gonna go into my bin. Basically in one bunch of asparagus, wherever the like one of them breaks, they pretty much all break. So you can always just like break one, put it down, and cut along the bunch, make it a little faster. So I'm going to cut these into, just trimming, maybe 1-inch lengths, although they're these are pretty thick asparagus, so maybe a little bit more like 1/2 inch. I want them to be about the same size as the Cavatelli overall. So somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 inch. So these I want to blanch. I want to get my water going to a boil. I'm going to cook the asparagus and the pasta in the same pot. Not together though. So as I said, this is a spring pasta, but this is pretty much all the spring veg that was available. They did have fiddlehead ferns, but I don't really love those. If you have like green garlic or spring onion, you can throw that in. Ramps. We're gonna settle for just some leek. So the dark green parts of the leek also are for the bin. You could save them and use them to throw into like a stock, but we actually cook a lot with leeks, so I don't really need any more of those. Now I'm gonna split the leek lengthwise because leeks trap a lot of dirt inside the leaves, kind of where the white part meets the green part, so I'm gonna rinse these. We grew leeks last year. They had a very long grow time, but it was very cool. And they did pretty well in the garden. So we'll check out the garden. We haven't really got it going yet, but we have our garlic coming up, so we'll take a little field trip to the garden and spread some of our food grounds and mix it into the soil, prepping our beds. They don't flock to me like they flock to Harris. They will literally follow him anywhere. Oh, hi. Hi. I got a little chicken feed here. There's a couple little scratch grains mixed in. I'm gonna mix it in with some of our food grounds. Chickies, chickies. There we go. Got our attention. These are very happy chickens. That one is like the wild card, the black and white one with the little crown. She's unpredictable. She doesn't really like to go into the coop. She'll roost in the bars in the run and like just likes to be off on her own, unless there's food around, I guess. Chickies, why are you running away? Run toward the food. Are the chicks in here? Oh, they're in here. They're so cute. Hi, little chicks. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Stay, stay. Nope. Oh my God, oh my God. You go in there. Nope, nope. Ah! I think I have to put the lid back on and chase the other two. Where'd you go? Come here, little chick. Oh God. Are you just going because you feel safe under there? This is very annoying. Maybe we'll wait until Harris gets home. Remember how when we were kids, all eggs were white eggs?
Yes.
And now they're all brown? Mm-hmm. Like, what happened?
Different breed.
You just decided a different breed was better? All right, we can go to the garden. No, out of the garden. You're not allowed in the garden. You're not allowed in the garden. You gotta get out of the garden. So we're getting our beds ready to plant seedlings. I'm just gonna sprinkle my food grounds into the bed, mix it in, and then Harrison's on his way home with seedlings. So at the end of last season, we composted over everything and covered with some chopped straw. Straw, not hay, right? Whatever doesn't have seeds.
Straw.
Yeah, then we tarped everything. Now the beds are pretty ready. So once our beds get going for the spring, we're going to be adding our food grounds to our compost pile, and then we'll save that compost and we can use it throughout the summer and at the end of the season to cover over everything again. But until then, we're happy to just mix them into the soil directly. And now our bin is empty and we'll start over. So these are the warm weather. We ordered from this great organic farm and they grow such cool varieties. One thing that did really well last year, which was kind of a surprise, was cantaloupe. So we got some melons. We have some lettuces, some herbs, little seed potatoes. Super excited about these. So the idea of this pasta, which I'm kind of calling a pasta primavera, but it's just the idea of like spring veg. And so my thought was to do it kind of like melted leek base. So I'm gonna really kind of start to slow cook these leeks in a little olive oil. So I want to chop them up So I cut them lengthwise first, and then thinly sliced crosswise. I'm gonna start cooking these in my saute pan over there, and that's where I'm going to build the final pasta. So this is really the base. Now I'm gonna just smash some garlic cloves. These are pretty large cloves, maybe I'll do 3 of these. I don't love chopping garlic. I will thinly slice it for a dish like linguine and clams, where that's a very important part of it, but generally it just like it gets sticky and it sticks to the knife, and then your hands get sticky. I just will smash it. I have, for finishing the pasta, some basil, which is like looking a little sadder by the minute, but that's okay. I'll slice my chives, but then we can move over to the stove and I'll start building the pasta over there. So I just sprinkled some kosher salt into my water, which is at a low boil. I want it salted for both blanching the asparagus and for cooking the pasta. I'm gonna get my asparagus in. You know, proper blanching technique is like you cook it in boiling water and then you shock it in ice water. And shocking halts the cooking and sets the color, and that's great. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't really want to like deal with a bowl of ice water, so I just run it under cold water from our tap, which is very cold. So that's what I'm gonna do. And these will take a couple minutes to cook. It's gonna cook a little bit more in the sauce, so the idea is to kind of take it out where it's like still slightly, a tiny bit crisp, but mostly tender. So this is gonna cook, and then I'm gonna get my leeks going. I have my spider here, which is very useful. So I have my saute pan here over medium heat. I'm gonna get a little olive oil in it, a couple tablespoons. I'm gonna add my leeks and my garlic. I really wanna kind of just start these, get them sweating. The idea is to cook them down until they're really, really soft. Leeks take on like an amazing silky texture when they are long cooked. I don't really want to put a lot of color on these leeks, really any at all. This is medium, but I've had it preheating for a little while. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to help draw out some of the water. So I'm gonna let these go, and I'll come and stir every so often, just to make sure that there's no browning or sticking. The asparagus are done. I'm going to take them out and just get them running under some cold water. It's not quite the same as like a proper blanch, but it's pretty close. And one thing you can do is move them around so you can feel once they're cold. Get that cold water running in between all the pieces. Drain them, and I'm gonna set these aside. I'll turn the water off for now while my leeks are cooking. These leeks are gonna take a little while. I want them to get really, really soft. And if you feel like they are taking on a lot of color, turn your heat down. So I'm still at medium. I turn the water off, but I'm gonna keep it here because we're gonna come back and cook the pasta in it. And then really once the leeks are done, the rest of it happens really fast because the cavatelli cooks quickly. I grabbed 1 sheet tray of the cavatelli. There's some flour on it, so I'm gonna kind of like dust it off a little bit before I go to boil it. So I want my water to be at a nice big rolling boil. It's already salted. The cavatelli has had a chance to just dry out enough that like it's not gonna stick to itself when I add it to the pot. So I can kind of toss it a little bit and get some of the excess flour off. Okay. So I think I'm gonna cook 1 sheet tray. I'll save the other one. You can always like IQF the fresh pasta. So throw the sheet tray in the freezer, let it freeze solid, and then pack it into a bag and keep it frozen. So one important thing is even though these have had a chance to dry out and they're not so sticky, they're still on the soft side. So when I add them to the water, I'll wait for it till it's at a rolling boil, and then I'm gonna sort of let the cavatelli like cascade into the water just to prevent sticking. So they kind of fall in one at a time. And I still have my leeks cooking. And the cavatelli just takes a few minutes. It's really just until they rise to the surface, and I just want the egg to have a chance to set and like for the flour to cook. And then everything's gonna get built in my saute pan. So now to this, I'm going to add a ladle of pasta water. And the pasta water is going to become the base for emulsifying this kind of cheesy, lemony, olive oily sauce. I'm gonna add a little more olive oil. So I have this going over medium heat. I'm gonna add some lemon zest. Now I'm gonna start adding my cheese. This is 2 ounces of cheese. I might not use it all. And the idea is that by slowly adding it and stirring and agitating, the cheese is melting and emulsifying into that pasta water. If the skillet starts to look a little bit dry, add a little bit more pasta water. I'm at medium. And just note that you salted the water, and I added a little salt to the leeks, and the cheese is salty, so you just don't want to over salt, which is something I have done in the past when it comes to pasta. So you can see how the sauce is thickening and getting really glossy. I've added probably about half the cheese, so about 1 ounce. I'm now going to throw in my asparagus, which are already cooked. Get those coated in everything. I think maybe a touch more pasta water. Now I'm going to take it off the heat. And the next thing is to add a little bit of butter. So even if the base of the pasta recipe doesn't call for butter, I still add it at the end. It makes everything glossy. It does help to sort of thicken or tighten up a sauce. Obviously it's adding flavor, just a great way to finish. And now while that's sort of melting into it, I'm going to cut a lemon wedge and add some fresh squeezed juice. And then once that's in, I want to give it a taste. Salt is good. I'm gonna add some black pepper. I want more lemon. I'm gonna add my chives now. Gonna get into this is a pasta bowl. And now to finish it off, I have a dollop of that cold, this is actually strained also, so it's like a little stiff. Cold ricotta, some basil leaves. The basil leaves are so delicate, I don't really like to fold them into the pasta because they just sort of die. Not the brightest looking basil. And then maybe a little extra parm and a little olive oil on top. Archie, not now. Archie, are you kidding? Thank you. Thank you.
Somebody.
Final little squeeze of lemon on top. You can set that in there in case you want to add more. I love, love, love dishes, sweet or savory with temperature contrast. So I love the cold ricotta. Lemony, oniony. The cavatelli are like really nicely al dente, but also tender and delicious. This is why pasta is my favorite food. I love a bowl of carbs. Extra fun when you make it yourself. The ricotta dough is super forgiving, as you saw. Just added a little extra flour, ran it through the cavatelli maker. Such a fun dish and a great way to use spring veg. Of course, anytime you're using lots of fresh veg, you have lots of food scraps. So I love that I could throw everything in my bin made by Mill. In case you're wondering, it is very quiet. It has been running the entire episode and you haven't been able to hear it at all. It's odorless. It is really such a game changer in our kitchen and it fits in seamlessly with our lifestyle, with a garden and chickens, and I couldn't love it more. So I want to thank our friends at Mill for sponsoring this episode. I hope you try your hand at pasta making. I think we're going to do more episodes of it because I'm kind of like catching the bug and it's really fun and I love making dough and playing with it. Let us know in the comments if you have any other pasta requests. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.